Hello, I'm the Trek Lad, and this is my review of Star Trek Discovery's 5th season episode, Erigah. In this latest episode, the Discovery finally apprehend Mal and Locke, but soon find themselves engulfed in a dangerous diplomatic situation when the Breen arrive, demanding the two captives be handed over, or else. Meanwhile, the crew decipher the latest clue in their ongoing hunt for the progenitor's tech. Jet Reno turns up and says some witty things, and Book's forehead does that weird glowy thing it does. A quick reminder that this won't be a spoiler-free review, so if you've not yet watched this episode, this might not be the video for you. If you're just looking for my overall thoughts on this episode, you can skip to the timestamp shown here on screen. Let's warp into this! With all the various plots finally coming together after weeks of build, Erigah clearly marks the beginning of the end of Discovery's 5th and final season. It's a strange episode that ups the stakes and moves the story along, but at the same time doesn't really make much of a difference in the grand scheme of trying to find the big MacGuffin of the season. 7 episodes in, and my concern that this is just TNG's The Chase, but for 10 hours instead of 45 minutes, is growing by the week. It's one of the more watchable episodes of the season, but that is damning the show with faint praise. This is very much another mixed bag, filled with the usual Discovery frustrations of thinly drawn characters doing questionable things, replicating old stuff with diminishing returns, more hyperactive camera pans and tilts, and feelings. Lots and lots of feelings. For me, the sunk cost fallacy has set in, and at this point, I'm just willing the show to the finish line. But let's start off by saying some nice things. The episode does a decent job building tension and escalating danger. With the Breen now firmly established as the main villains of the season, the stakes are upped, and I did feel a sense of urgency in the way the episode progresses. I really liked the shot of the Breen dreadnought arriving at Federation HQ, a rare ship visual on the show that actually left me quite impressed. It's nice to see a ship on Discovery that actually looks like it has some substance and complexity, a big contrast to Starfleet's ugly and mostly featureless 32nd century ships that for the most part look like toasters that have been squashed in an advert for an iPad. While I still have mixed feelings about Discovery's demystifying of the Breen, this episode does make them feel like a major power and a very credible threat to all the newfound peace the Federation has established post-burn. While not usually a sucker for a callback, I did like the reference to the Breen's attack on Earth as seen in DS9's final chapter episode, The Changing Face of Evil. Through the episode, we learn that the Breen are fractured and embroiled in some sort of power struggle over their next ruler. Think somewhere between an intergalactic version of Succession, just nowhere near as good, or a space-bound House of the Dragon. Locke, revealed as a powerful royal figure in Breen society a few episodes ago, naturally figures part of the Breen Primarch's plan to ascend to power. I guess treating him like shit and forcing him to carry out menial cargo bay duties in those flashbacks wasn't such a good idea after all. The problem is Locke isn't doing very well following his fight with Burnham aboard the ISS Enterprise, and despite Culber's best efforts involving a conveniently found 800-year-old cryobed and dropping the temperature a bit, appears to be on the verge of death. All this gives Discovery the opportunity to dust off more classic Trekkian tropes, diplomatic manoeuvring, standoffs, and delays. While nowhere near the quality of TNG's catalogue of tense Romulan encounters, the episode does a pretty decent job with Trina's back and forth with the Breen Primarch, a brief but entertaining series featuring a battle of political wits with a big Alpha Quadrant-sized bluff. We also have the return of one of my favourite recurring Trek story devices, the 1 hour ultimatum. I don't know if this was actually the case, if I'm just misremembering, but this seemed to always happen during episodes featuring either the Romulans on TNG or the Cardassians in episodes of DS9. It's an easy way to ramp up tension, and I always enjoyed the idea of the 1 hour time frame giving the episode a real-time feel. Now, I wouldn't say any of this is particularly thrilling though. It's fine, it's serviceable, and that's about it really. Like the vast majority of what we get on Discovery, we can find a lot of this done much better in classic episodes. We're not really getting anything new here, a remix if we're being charitable, or a pale imitation if we're being completely honest. Naturally, Mal and Locke feature heavily in the episode, and despite the show's efforts, I still just don't care enough about them. Mal continues to frustrate with her uber-aggressive stance that has come about not by things we've actually seen on screen, but rather by things that we've been told about this character. Nothing I've seen from these two this season has established them as a credible challenge to Discovery's quest for the progenitor's tech, and I remain very confused over how they've been able to stay competitive with Burnham and the obvious technological advantages of the Discovery. While I'm on the subject of the hunt, I remain amused and increasingly frustrated that the race for what is supposed to be the single most important technology in the history of all things is a two-horse race between Discovery, a goth girl boss with daddy issues, and an alien with a motorcycle helmet for a head. Where, may I ask, are all the other alien races? Why isn't this the greatest installment of wacky races we've ever seen? Why is this universe so fucking small? For the fourth episode in a row, we get no sign of Saru. We do, however, get the return of Naan, aka Commander Yum Yum, who, beyond a nice callback to previous seasons, is mostly just wasted in a disappointingly anonymous appearance. Not quite as wasted this week is Rayner, with Callum Keith Rennie's grouchy Kelleran commander still the best thing about this season by quite some way. I did roll my eyes though at him becoming the latest modern Trek character to receive a tragic backstory with the revelation that he and the Kelleran race were once under the oppressive rule of another Breen faction leader. I really don't understand modern Trek's infatuation with this. Beyond trauma and repressed darkness and teenage angst, Trek's current writers don't seem to have any other way to give their characters depth and relatability, and honestly, it's getting pretty boring now. Not everyone needs to be broken. The episode concludes with a flurry of major developments that, while intriguing, pose questions the show probably won't provide satisfying answers to. Locke dies and Mol reveals the two are bonded. This is clearly setting up Mol becoming the new leader of the Breen, a tidy but head-scratching resolution that is absolutely on brand for the show, so bet your house on it happening. Burnham allowing Mol to be in the same room as the Breen feels incredibly reckless considering all the careful plotting and manoeuvring we saw earlier in the episode. To the surprise of absolutely no one but the captain, Mol puts the Breen on the hunt for the tech and then leaves with them. Just like that. Now, Tarina reasons it's logical to let her go, and that might be right, but I also think that giving a clearly dangerous enemy someone with any kind of insight into what they're looking for to be an unacceptable risk to take. In the midst of all this, we get some small moments with supporting characters. Tig Notaro gets another chance to chew the scenery, but it's not anything we've seen from her before. Working with Stamets, Book uses his magical forehead powers to locate the next destination in a scene that featured some interesting close-up shots. And finally, we get Adira and Tilly providing the episode's trademark Discovery moment. You know what I mean. The moment where two people who are in the middle of an urgent task take a break to talk about feelings and, I don't know, other stuff. Whatever. Erigah is yet another meh episode of Discovery. It's good to see the season's various threads starting to come together, but with big developments here, it's also starting to feel a bit convoluted and needlessly complicated, with the addition of more universal stakes every Trek show seems to think we need these days. There's plenty of eye-rolling stuff, but there are also some good moments. The Breen are made to look like a major threat, and I did enjoy the scenes of diplomatic strategy and manoeuvring that on occasions felt quite smart. This is the most cohesive Discovery has been at this point during a season, although my attitude 7 episodes in is that this is a bland and mostly inconsequential adventure that few will remember moments after Discovery sails off into some sort of space sunset. Apathy at this point, at least for me, has well and truly set in. I'm giving Erigah a 5 out of 10. It's closer to a 6 than a 4. But what did you think of this episode? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below, and if you haven't already, please like this video and subscribe to the channel for more reviews like this coming soon. Until next time, I'm the Trek Lad. Live long and prosper.